Story time about how I stole my best friend's boyfriend. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. My best friend and I had known each other for almost 7 years. We met in college and she was always dating around and had several boyfriends. I had no boyfriends because my parents were super strict even though I was in college. There was only one boy that I really liked, but like I said, my parents were super strict so I could never date anyone. What's worse is that I know this boy had a crush on me too. Fast forward 5 years later, my best friend and I are living together. She's on Tinder, Bumble, and all these other dating apps. She had been going on several dates because she really wanted to find a relationship. Well, one day she comes home and she says that she really liked this guy she went on a date with. They ended up dating a month before I even met him. One day she invites him over because she wanted me to meet him. He comes in and as soon as we lock eyes, I'm in shock. It's the boy that I had a crush on in college. Which, like I said, I knew he had a crush on me too. We hugged and chatted for the entire night. And I could tell my best friend really liked him. A few days later, he starts following me on Instagram and we start DMing. He tells me that he had a crush on me in college and I tell him that I did too. Part 2 is up. My best friend's boyfriend starts DMing me on Instagram. He confesses that he had a crush on me when we were in college together, and I told him that I did too. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. From that day on, he would DM me every single day and we would just flirt back and forth. I started feeling really guilty and I told him one day I can't do this anymore. That's when he told me he also felt guilty and that the best thing was for us to stop talking, so we did. I was so sad. A few weeks passed by and my best friend asked me if she could have the apartment all to herself because she's planning a romantic dinner for him. I said yes, but I felt so jealous. Left the apartment because I realized that I was so in love with him. I went to the supermarket and ate a whole pack of Oreo cookies and went to the movies. I get a text message from my best friend asking me to come home immediately. My stomach sank and I thought she had found out. When I get there, she's crying and she says that he broke up with her. I asked if he said why and she said because he was in love with another woman. My stomach sank again. I was there with her the entire night while she cried knowing her boyfriend left her because of me. Part 3 is up. My best friend's boyfriend had broken up with her because of me. I didn't have the heart to tell her. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. A few days later, she started going out on Tinder dates again. I could see that she was feeling better, so I decided to confess to her everything. And she told me she could tell that he and I liked each other. Then she told me I should date him. Well, I didn't waste any time. I sent him a text message and asked him if he wanted to meet up for dinner. And when we did, he asked me to be his girlfriend. We dated for 6 months before he proposed. He even got my name tattooed on his neck. The only problem is that my mom thinks he might do the same thing to me. I don't even want to think about that because I truly believe that he loves me. But let's hope not. I've been planning the wedding and I asked my best friend to come. Of course she said yes. She's super happy for me. And she actually has a boyfriend now. Do you guys think my fiance will end up doing the same thing too? Are you ready for a scary story? The Legend of La Llorona. La Llorona is a legend, a figure of the night that terrorizes farmers in Nicaragua. During colonial times in Nicaragua, La Llorona was a young girl living with her mother. The Spaniards put them to work. Her mother always told her Indian blood should never mix with Spaniard blood. One day while she's at the river, she meets a Spanish man and they fall in love. They met at the river many times and she fell pregnant. She asked him to take her back with him to Spain and he said no. He abandoned her, leaving her with a child. She cried so much she fell asleep, and when she woke up, she had a baby in her arms. She was full of spite and anger, and she knew she had to kill the baby. She threw the baby into the river, and she could hear the baby's cries. She instantly regretted it and went to save it. But she couldn't. The baby had drowned and was gone. According to the legend, her spirit comes out at night to terrorize the people of León. La Llorona Part 2. After she threw her baby into the river, she heard its cries and ran back to save it, but it had drowned and disappeared. She walked back to town, but she could still hear the baby's cries. Nothing could bring her comfort. Legend has it she walks the streets wailing and crying for her child, naming her La Llorona. She could still hear her baby's cries for her when it was drowning. It consumed her mind and her body. Even now, people still hear La Llorona outside of their houses, and when they do, they dare not go outside. So the next time you hear wailing and crying outside of your window, outside of your house, don't look, because it just might be La Llorona.